With the draft 3 weeks away, we're going to look at the team right now and see what we need going into the draft. What is up, Finn fans? Like I said, draft is getting there. We're getting close. We're getting real close. We don't have a first again. This time because tampering for a guy we didn't even actually acquire. At least with Don Shula, when we tampered and we lost a draft pick, we got the best head coach in NFL history. We tampered and we didn't get nothing. But yeah, we're going to look at the team. We're going to look at the roster. I'm going to break down kind of each position here and there. We're going to talk about team needs going into the draft. But real quick, and also a comment of the day. I got a very good comment of the day. But before we jump into that, bam, I got 2 new members I got to shout out. And Scott Keck and David Thomas. Thank you guys so much for being members. If you'd like to be a member, it's the join button next to the subscribe button. And if you'd like to be a patron, it is linked in the description below. You guys have a ton of cool perks. The members got cool perks, and the patrons got cool perks on different platforms and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much. Don't ever feel like you need to, but if you want to, it's greatly appreciated on my end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize myself, and we're going to look at the roster as of right now. And obviously, I organized it with positions. Cornerback. We have no need at corner. Would they surprise me if they took one? And again, this could be a Jarvis Landry situation. I remember when they drafted Jarvis Landry in the second round, I was confused because I think at the time we had Brandon Marshall, and I think we had a few good receivers that I was like, oh, we didn't need a receiver, and he ended up being really good. If they surprise us and take a corner in the second, third round, cool. But, Justin Bethel, Tino Ellis, these are guys who are competing on the bubble. You got Xavier Howard. I would be surprised if no one makes a team. Cater Kohu, Nick Needham, Jalen Ramsey, Trill Williams. And then you got the DBs that kind of can play safety and corner, and Elijah Campbell and Kieran Crossan. There you go. So I don't think corner's a need. And then you have the D-line. You have defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah, but then you have the DTs and Joshua Bronson, Raekwon Davis, Zach Sealer, Jalen Twinman, and Christian Wilkins. I'm having a stroke. Here I could see depth, but I could see depth as in, I talked about in the last video, like an Ndamukong Suh type depth. I don't see them drafting a D lineman, even though they did meet with a few D linemen. I talked about that also in a previous video. Maybe a 6th, 7th rounder, they go D lineman, but I could see more depth here. Then you got fullbacks there. Fullback, you got Lester Cotton, who seems to be the only legit guard on the team. That's ridiculous. Jason Sanders, only kicker. Maybe bring in an undrafted free agent kicker. I don't know if they'll actually use a draft pick on a kicker, but yeah. Then you got linebackers, right? Jerome Baker, Bradley Chubb, Cameron Good, David Long Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Malik Reed, Duke Riley, Channing Tindall, Andrew Van Ginkel. Middle linebacker, yeah. Again, if one of them falls to the Dolphins in the second round, I wouldn't be surprised they pull the trigger on that. Because you see that these guys are named linebacker, and I'm going to get into that in comment of the day. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, they're listed as linebackers, outside linebackers, because the Dolphins are going to be running that 3-4, 4-3 hybrid again under Vic Fangio. You can go and check out my video where I break down his defense. So, a lot of people look at this and say, well, what are we going to do with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips? Also, we have Emmanuel Ogbah. Emmanuel Ogbah is going to be, in the 3-4 set, he's going to have his hand down. So it'll probably be Ogbah, Davis, and then either Wilkins or Sealer on the other end. But that's linebacker. Like I said, if the second round comes and all of a sudden one of these really good linebackers falls, could they jump at it? Possibly. Then you have long snapper Blake Ferguson. I think he was a 6th rounder for us. He ain't going nowhere. We don't need another long snapper. Then you come to the offensive linemen, right? You have Liam Eichenberg, Dan Feeney, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, Robert Jones, and Connor Williams. These are your offensive linemen. But Liam Eichenberg's going to play guard. Dan Feeney's a guard. Robert Hunt's a guard. Austin Jackson's a tackle. Robert Jones is a guard. And Connor Williams is your center. Dan Feeney can be a guard/center. He might be the backup center behind Connor Williams. We need a right tackle, right? Now, will they do it in this draft? I don't know. But we need a right tackle, and I'll get down to the tackles, but we need a right tackle. For me to say that is just getting redundant at this point, and you guys are probably like tired of hearing me say that. Then we have Jake Bailey, the punter. Again, another situation where the Dolphins can go undrafted or, late round, take a punter, but I doubt it. Then you got quarterback. You got Tua, Skylar, and Mike White. They're not going to draft a quarterback. This is the year that Tua either makes it or breaks it. And, you've heard that time and time again, but he's got his fifth-year option. That's it. If he can't stay healthy, he's probably going to be gonzo. And then you got running backs. We have 4 running backs on the team. Savon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a running back. I think they need some more depth at running back. Now, that could be an undrafted free agency territory. But, again, in that second round, if some of these good players and if reaches happen in the first round and some of these good running backs and some of these good linebackers and some of these good offensive linemen start falling, I wouldn't be, even corners, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins pull the trigger, BPA, get the best guy that's available with that first pick in the second round of 51st overall. But we have 4 running backs. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a few more. Draft day trade, Dalvin Cook. I don't know. But just realize that these 2 guys, Savon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin, Myles Gaskin has no guaranteed money, and Savon Ahmed has like $500,000 in guaranteed money. These 2 guys can be moved very easily. So if the Dolphins did want to go out and get a Dalvin Cook or did draft a guy in the second round, these 2 guys are replaceable very easy. And then you got Deshaun Elliott, our number 0. These are safeties. Deshaun Elliott, Javon Holland, Brandon Jones, and Veron McKinley. Ron McKinley, Javon Holland played together. Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott played together. I doubt they're gonna. Again, you got these guys back here, the DBs who also could play safety. I doubt they're gonna go safety in the draft, especially with Javon Holland and Brandon Jones as your starters. I doubt it. Then you got your tackles: Teron Armstead, Garon Christian, Kendall Lamb, and Keon Smith. They have 4 tackles, technically 5 tackles, because Austin Jackson's a tackle, but he did play guard, so he's listed as an offensive lineman. They have 5 tackles. Of the 5 tackles, none of these guys make me feel comfortable besides Teron Armstead. And not to knock Teron Armstead, he can't stay healthy, so I don't really feel comfortable with him either. They need a tackle. Right tackle. They need a starting right tackle. To me, some people think Austin Jackson, give him a chance. I gave him 3 years. He either isn't healthy or he didn't play well. So I'm ready to move on from him. Then, they're not the zeros. They just don't have numbers yet. My bad on that, guys. Then we have the tight ends in Tanner Conner, Eric Sorbert, Durham Smythe. We have 3 tight ends. If that's a definite need, a draft need is tight end. So far, a definite draft need is tackle, tight end, maybe running back. But definitely a need there, especially in that second round. I never noticed Eric Sorbert's ears are pretty big. Wide receivers is the final. You got Braxton Berrios, River Craycraft, Eric Izukoma, however you say it, Tyreek Hill, Braylon Sanders, Freddie Swan, Jalen Waddle, and Cedric Wilson Jr. No depth is not a need. Wide receiver is not a need. So going into the draft, you need defensive lineman depth. You need a tight end, tackle, linebacker, middle linebacker preferably, running back. That's probably my needs going into the draft. But tackle, tight end are probably number 1. And then middle linebacker, go running back. Go corner too, surprise some people. But the Dolphins did a good job of filling in and kind of going into the draft with BPA. But tight end, we have 3. And I think they're banking on it. I think they're banking on, because they tried to go for some other tight ends. Last year, they tried to trade for Darren Waller. Eric Sorbert was out there. There's some other tight ends. Smith Jr. decided to go to the Bengals instead of the Dolphins. They wanted to add some tight ends, and I think they feel comfortable with at 51. They'll have multiple options at tight end with a lot of these good tight ends out there. Again, I'm going to do mock drafts so we could see how it will all plan out. But yeah. That's where I think the needs are. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think the needs are. I think tight end is probably number 1. They need a legit tight end. They re-signed Durham Smythe. They bring in Eric Sorbert. Tanner Conner is that experimental guy. Can he do it? And you guys know how I feel about tackle. But comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to make myself bigger. And I'm going to get to comment of the day. And this comment comes from my man, And the mod manager general, I don't know, I made him something. Nabu. I butcher his name all the time. Nabokov fan. Jeff, I apologize. I butcher your name all the time. He says, question/comment of the day. Do you think we have a lot of confusion in terms of DN outside linebacker and our linebackers? Does it seem like we always had so many at the line? They were just using 4 DNs instead of most traditional linebacker sets in our 3-4 scheme. That's a very good question. And that's where, when I was talking about the linebackers we have, I was like, let me wait, because comment of the day was a very good question. The way, it's hard to explain, but the way that Vic Fangio is going to work is he's going to, with the front 7, he's going to work with what he has, right? Now, he takes the best that he has and he puts them in their situation that they can thrive, right? So we might not see Jalen Phillips drop back into coverage a lot because he's better rushing the passer. We may see that more from Bradley Chubb. He kind of did that with Denver under Vic Fangio. Ogba's going to have his hand in the ground. Wilkins is going to have his hand in the ground. Sealer and Davis, those guys are all going to have their hand in the ground. But then, I don't know if it's going to be as hybrid as Boyer/Flores had it, but don't be confused between what Emmanuel Ogbah is and what Phillips and Chubb are, because Phillips and Chubb probably aren't really going to have their hand in the ground much, whereas Emmanuel Ogbah is mostly going to have his hand in the ground, and you're never going to see him. He's going to be on the line. Emmanuel Ogbah is going to be on the line, and he's going to be predominantly rushing that passer, unless there's a scheme where, you have a DT. Sometimes you'll have Christian Wilkins drop back into coverage to really mess with the opposing quarterback. But yeah, I think, to get back to the question that he asked, does it seem like we always have so many at the we always had so many at the line that we always just using 4 DNs instead of more of the traditional linebacker set in the 3-4 scheme? I think it's because a lot of people get confused at what Jalen Phillips and what Bradley Chubb are, so they think they're defensive ends. So you think, we got 4 DNs on the line instead of the traditional 3-4 set. Because Christian Wilkins is a DT and Sealer, I think, is a DT or D end. I know they're just DLs on here when I look at. They're considered DTs. Raekwon Davis, Zach Sealer, and Christian Wilkins are considered defensive tackles, whereas Emmanuel Ogbah is really the only defensive end we have on the team. So I think that's where the confusion comes in, is a lot of people confuse Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips and Andrew Van Ginkel and all these guys. You see Andrew Van Ginkel, you think linebacker, especially because he's number 43. But then Chubb and Phillips, you think defensive end, wherein they're outside linebackers, especially in that 3-4 scheme. So I think that's where the confusion comes in. I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, comment below, and I'll try to explain myself a little bit better. But Malik Reed also, he's going to be that outside pass rusher, maybe drop back into coverage. That's why when I said depth and what we need in the draft, I preference middle linebacker, because you have Andrew Van Ginkel, Malik Reed, Jalen Phillips, and Bradley Chubb. You're fine with your outside linebackers. It's the middle linebackers and Duke Riley, Channing Tindall, David Long, and Jerome Baker that you need help. Even Cameron Good is considered a linebacker. When he was drafted, he was a defensive end. So what I'm saying? So I think that's where the confusion is. Is it a linebacker or is it a defensive end? Comment below, let me know what you think. And if you have any comments that want to be part of comment of the day, comment below. And like my man did, say comment of the day in front so I can search and find your comment. But that's what I got for you today. Monday, I'm thinking Monday or Tuesday, me and Brosham are going to talk about offensive linemen. I'm going to start doing mock drafts. I got a lot of content planned for you guys. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that subscribe button. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. But like usual, stay classy. Offense up.